Here, I want to talk a little bit about imports. Are they any kind of a threat to the beef industry?
Absolutely, especially since half of our big four, two of our big four packers are Brazilian owned. We see that every time that we start getting tighter supplies of beef, we'll see more shipments coming from Brazil. You know, they're mostly grass fed and not for a clicky niche market. That's just all they have to feed them. But they can send over that ground product or in big pieces and then grind it up over here and then call it a product of the United States. And then the way that they make that more palatable is they take the extra fat off of our steer and heifer carcasses and a lot of our cow carcasses, especially dairy cows, because they're fed grain and they have good fat. They take those trimmings and mix it with that brushy meat, and it makes a ground product that tastes pretty darn good. But what's not right is they're able to label that as a product of the USA because they did some level of further processing here. That should not be the way that we do that. And I think we are going to see some changes in fairness of labeling, not necessarily country of origin labeling the way we had it, but at least with fair packaging on there where people can see whether it's wholly from the United States.
Right. I was talking with somebody the other day. I don't care if somebody wants to buy Brazilian beef, but if they want to buy U.S. beef, they shouldn't buy Brazilian beef thinking it's from the U.S.
Right. Which country of origin labeling, and people criticize me because I'm not all in for country of origin labeling, but country of origin labeling, the way that we had it before, that label was forced to state every country that beef could have come from, you know, in its lifetime. Well, the problem with that is we get Mexico cows and we get Canadian cows here in the United States. The problem is they had to shut those plants down and completely sterilize them and get every morsel of meat out of every saw blade and everything, and then kill cows that came from Canada. And then when they got done with that, they had to shut everything down and completely do it again before they went back to be under the law there. I don't think we need to go that far anymore. I just need to know whether it is or whether it ain't.
Historically, beef imports from Brazil have been canned beef, processed beef, but as of 2020, the ban on fresh beef carcasses was lifted by the USDA, opening the borders for beef carcasses to be imported to the USA. 2 of our 4 major packing companies are Brazilian owned, and they are satisfying the deficit in U.S. beef with these imported carcasses. I'm going to throw up a chart from the USDA that shows the increase in imports once that ban was lifted in 2020, and this is absolutely staggering. Here in 2022, according to an article by beef2live.com, U.S. beef imports are up 145% from Brazil alone and 23% from Mexico. And I want to be really careful here because this video is not to demonize imports. Imports and exports done right are really part of a healthy economy overall. But what's happening here is that this imported beef is being actively marketed as product of USA. We have dishonesty and a double standard here. Processors within the United States are held to an extensive list of regulations when it comes to processing beef or meat in general. And these regulations are extremely expensive to facilitate. And while US processors are pursuing this standard, we have record numbers of foreign beef being trucked across the border from facilities that are not required to meet these same standards. And if these standards were optional for US processors, there would be no argument. But US processors are prohibited from reselling meat unless they meet all of these regulatory standards. And the real crime here is that we as the consumers aren't allowed to go to the grocery store and at least look at the label and make responsible decisions there. Now, this is a story that will probably require 2 or 3 videos to unpack, but I want to bring it around, as always, to what you can do. Number 1, know who is growing your beef. Bypass the superstores, the cheap steaks, and purchase direct from your local rancher. You can go to eatwild.com for a local directory of small-scale meat growers. And you can also do what I did. I grew 1,000 pounds worth of my own beef using this guide, Salad Bar Beef by Joel Salatin. You can go and purchase this book at Shop Shepherdess and watch this video on exactly how I grew 1,000 pounds of beef as an absolute beginner.